Hello and welcome to the Peak Endurance Podcast. Um, this week we've interviewed a young lady by the name of Elise Macchiato, I believe is the name.
Oh my God, no!
Macchi Macchiato.
That's a coffee, you goose.
That was the name. That was it.
No, that is so naughty.
Macchiato.
What I can't even.
Yeah, you're laughing at me, but you don't remember.
We just,
It took us a while to get it when we interviewed
yeah,
her.
when we interview her, you'll hear it.
Yes.
Marcianti.
Marcianti. Yes,
Macchiato.
knew it was something like that.
Oh, sorry,
We
Elise, we
do
just
apologise
butchered
for
it.
this. But when we got it right the first time, she was quite surprised. So it doesn't,
Yeah.
she won't be surprised that we got it right, got it wrong the second time.
I'm just so glad it was you. I love that it was macchiato. Oh my God.
Anyway, yes, we spoke to Elise.
I mean, we could stop and start again, but
Why would we do that?
yeah.
Yes, we spoke to Elise about her um,
It's
uh,
done a long run. Don't go through it all,
yeah,
mate.
about an adventure she went on just recently, and we she was a lovely young lady who has been through some issues personally and has fought back well. So,
Yeah.
very interesting story and full of insights. But before we start, we thought we'd just
Do a bit of an
do
update
an
because
update.
people gave us the feedback that they actually enjoy the updates.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so that's good to know. So we will continue with those, with telling you about our exciting life that consists of running, sleeping, and eating on
And,
repeat.
and the occasional gym work.
Yes, well, yes, true. So anyway, what have we been up to?
Well, we've been climbing some hills lately.
That we have.
And some of them over and over again.
Yes. Oh my God, we've been getting the vert in. So we went up to Donna and did some trail Donna repeats this time,
Yep.
and
And
that was good work.
it was hot.
Hot, muggy, hilly, obviously, and what we really find was that normally you think of the downhill as the recovery, but it was really hard work mentally, as well as physically, because mentally you're having to really concentrate because it's quite technical, slippy, trippy with the bark and the slippery roots. And, I went down, I can't remember if you went down at
No,
all.
I didn't go down this
No,
time.
no. So yeah, it was quite
It,
not just an intense workout up, but hard down.
no, even though it had been dry and it was a warm day, there was still quite a few slippery, muddy
Yeah.
sections. So
And we still got some leeches.
yes. Actually, I didn't get any
Oh,
leeches this time. It was
always
only
me who
yeah,
gets bloody leeches.
yeah. I didn't get any.
Yeah, so and then I also got some allergic reactions to something else
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
bush. So yep. Then last weekend just gone, we went for we decided to stay close to home because honestly we didn't get home till 4 o'clock.
No, yeah. Makes for a long day when
It's
we
a
travel
bloody
somewhere.
long day. So we ran from home and this time we didn't use poles.
Yeah.
So and oh my God, we suffered a bit.
We did, yeah.
I'm like, oh, because you really could tell the difference between
It's a big difference, yeah.
It does. So and speaking of poles, I've got a poles workshop and a hill running workshop because we go through, ascending and descending pole hills, not poles, Jesus.
It's not a pole clinic in that respect.
In that way.
Yeah.
So ascending and descending hills with and without poles. So that is on Sunday, the 25th of Feb. So get on the website and register for that if you are interested, especially if you're going to be doing any races with hills and whatnot in them. That'll be a week after we've just done hut to hut.
Yeah, so we might be moving slowly.
We'll be fine.
Yeah, DOMS should be finished by then, but I'm
Hopefully.
sure a fair bit of fatigue will still be there.
But all good.
Yeah.
One thing that I did notice on our run was I was feeling really tired. And that's because, as a female, I get a period and it was the day before my period. And I was feeling pretty exhausted. But because, I know how to work with my body in these ways, and I know I get tired then, so I always up the carbs. So I was making sure I could feel the tiredness behind there, but I was supplementing it with lots of carbs. I was getting into the sours lollies, and oh my God, that really helped. But I also have the Mastering Your Menstrual Cycle workshop coming up on Wednesday, the 21st of Feb. And look, I know what it's like, and it can be really frustrating. And that's why doing this workshop, is really helpful to help you deal with the frustrations, and A, to know you're not alone, B, to know that you're not imagining it, and C, to just have more knowledge on and know what sort of things you can do to help you during that stage of your cycle, because it's a large portion of our lives as females where we have a cycle, and we should really, the more educated we are, the better. So once again,
apparently it happened once a month.
I know, right?
Oh, okay.
Go figure. So get onto the website once again for that if you are interested in attending that, and it's always a bit of fun as well. And I really emphasize, what's the word?
I don't know.
I don't know. Talking in the people asking questions and that sort of thing. So, I'm all for that. So yeah, we haven't really been doing a lot. We did book our flights to America.
Yes, so it's kind of official.
Yeah, can't book a U-Haul for love nor money.
We've got our visa, we've got our flights, so
just cannot book a U-Haul for when we're at the park. Literally the website doesn't work. Then when I rang them, they were having trouble.
Almost got there, though.
Almost got there. They were having trouble because it was an Australian phone number. And then just as she got all the credit card details and everything, it cut out. And then I got a message from Bendigo Bank saying they put my credit card on hold because of unusual activity. And when I rang them, they said, "Oh yeah, someone was using your thing to book a U-Haul." I'm like, "Yeah, that someone was me." But in saying that, it never went through. So now I'm going to have to ring them back again. And I hate ringing, and I hate having to talk to people. I just want to book it online. I just want it to be easy. But it isn't.
No.
So from me not wanting to talk to anybody, I had to ring U-Haul and be on the phone for them for 15 minutes and then ring Bendigo Bank. So from not wanting to talk, I'm having to talk to everybody.
That's right.
So anyway, that's my whinge for the week. Not that I dislike people, but that sort of stuff, I just want to book because, with the American thing, I know the number's going to be a hassle and the address and everything's going to be hard.
Yeah.
And it's just too hard.
In fact, it was unusual that the four number zip code that we have in Australia was actually the easy thing.
Yeah, that was accepted.
Normally that's the thing that throws the system out.
Yeah. So anyway, so we shall try again. But I'm giving myself a few days break before I try again because I just can't deal with that. And we booked our accommodation for hut to hut. So, like I said, we spent over $5,000 on the weekend.
Expensive weekend. Considering we barely left the house to do anything but run.
Yeah.
It was an expensive weekend.
God. Anyway.
This life of international jet setters that we lead. It's very expensive.
It's killing the credit card. Oh my God. I've been too scared to look back at the credit. Oh my God. Anyway, it is what it is.
Yep.
And, I'm incredibly fortunate to have this opportunity. So, come what may, we'll be heading there. Anyway, now be prepared for an interesting interview. We don't do a lot of interviews anymore. Man, it's just Ron and I waxing lyrical. Or rambling.
Yep.
Like we just seem to have. My apologies. Clearly, we were not prepared. And as it is an edit-free podcast, you do get to hear Ron call Elise Macchiato.
It sounded right to me. It sounded right in my head.
Italian.
Maybe I was just thinking about coffee.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so embarrassed because she's going to listen to this.
Sadly, I thought it was some kind of wine.
Oh, are you serious?
Isn't there a wine?
Macchiato? No.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God.
Not a wine or coffee aficionado, unfortunately.
Quite clearly. Well, I used to be a barista, so at least I suppose that's why I know.
Yeah.
All righty. Have a great week, everybody. If you're in Australia, enjoy the heat. and the humidity, because that just seems to be par for the course these days.
It does.
If you're in Canada, enjoy the freezing cold at the moment. Oh my lordy lord. I've been looking at those temperatures and they look like fun. Not a lot of outdoor running for them when it's negative 35.
That's right. Imagine what it's like here when it's 30 degrees in the summer months. Over there, it's minus 30 degrees.
Yeah. I mean, even when I was there, it'd be negative 20, and that was hard enough because it's the air going into your lungs. It's the hard bit. And you try to cover your mouth, but then your breath makes it get all icy and frozen, and then you can't breathe. And then your eyelashes get so coated in icicles, you can't open your eyes, so you can't breathe, you can't see. It's fun and games.
Yeah, it sounds like perfect running conditions.
Yes, which is why I used to, do my quality sessions on a treadmill, but in that kind of weather, you can't really go out at all. You'd have to do pretty much everything on a treadmill. So, thinking of you over there in Canada, all my Canadian friends and our Canadian listeners. And I know the UK is having some pretty bitter weather at the moment too. So,
Yeah, stay safe out there in the cold weather.
Yep.
Remember, dress up.
Dress up into what?
Well, into warm clothes.
Okay, that we were playing dress ups.
No, we're not playing dress up. I mean, dress warm.
Dress warm, yes, yep. All righty, have a great week, everybody, and lots of feedback. We love the feedback, so let us know.
Okay. Enjoy.
Bye. Hello and welcome to the Peak Endurance Podcast. If you are watching on YouTube, you'll see there are three of us here. Me, obviously, Isabel Tate.
Me, Ron
the
Tate.
Other me, and we have with us Elise Marcanti. I almost stuffed it up again. Hi, Elise.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining us. Now, Elise has joined us because she has just completed 300 kilometres, 50 Ks of which was the Ultra Trail Kosciuszko 50K, and then 250 kilometres of the Australian Alps Walking Track. Obviously, that's just a part of the walking track. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's a 700 kilometre.
Yeah, that's right. So, but 250 is enough. So first of all, tell us how the run went.
I was
How did you find that?
really stoked with it. That was something that was the longest run I've done. I've done a couple marathons. I haven't actually hit that ultra distance before, and I really put a lot into training. And I think that was just like a really central thing. I think when I was going out there and hitting those hills, I really felt confident and strong, and that was probably my favorite race.
Oh, that's excellent.
Was there a reason why you started your trek with this race, or was it just because that got you out into the hills and you thought that was a good start off point?
I think it was really sentimental. I think I've done a snow season up in Jindabyne. I've done a snow season around Falls and Hotham, and I just thought there was something really special about starting highest region of Australia, somewhere I've done a snow season, which has been really special, and making my way back home.
Yeah. And so when you say making your way back home, are you from Bright?
I've grown up in Wanturna, but I've been in Bright the last few years.
Okay. And so then you, from there, you started the Australian Alps Walking Track, which was a little bit of a distance away, wasn't it? But and then you did the 250 Ks, and you went to Feathertop and Hotham as well for the peaks, didn't you? How was that?
That was amazing. It's so special. I think that area, it kind of feels like my backyard, being able to be spending so much time and finishing that hike with a group of friends, I think was really special.
Okay, so you did hike it on your own?
Yeah, so I did the last 4 days with friends, which was really beautiful, and that's kind of, I wanted that kind of coming together in community. I did the first 10 days, 200 kilometers solo, and I saw almost no one on the track.
Oh, really?
I did like an 80-hour stint, saw someone at night, and then I did a 100-hour stint. No reception, no one.
What was that like? That would have been weird.
It was really intense. I don't think I'd even prepared for it as well. I was going to hit the track. There'll be plenty of people, so I don't think I'm mentally prepared, but I kind of got pretty deep into it where I'm like, I've got to make a pact with nature. I've kind of got to realize it's not against me. I'm not against it. I'm here. And I've got to be okay with it, because I used to be really scared solo overnight.
Okay.
I used to, as soon as it got dark, I'd be like, oh, I'm scared. And I really had to sit with that and just surrender. Like, I'm in it. I'm in it. And that's the same with like long distance runs. Sometimes, it gets hard and you're uncomfortable and you're like, I'm in it.
Yeah.
And that was that.
So you spent those first 10 days essentially solo. Mm-hmm. Yeah, wow.
And so you carried everything you needed on your back. You didn't have stashes or anything like that.
I did 3 food drops.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, I was going to say, holy moly, that pack would have been heavy.
It still was, but I'm really glad I did those food drops.
Yeah. And what did you do about water?
I had my map, so I knew where water was. So I had creeks and aquatabs, and kind of just carried about 2 liters, give or take, with me at all times.
Yeah.
And roughly, how much did you do per day? How far did you go?
It varied. So it was about 15 to 30 Ks a day, 30 being definitely on the high end, so maybe like 15 to 25.
Yeah.
And all up it was 11,000 elevation, 10,000 down.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
That's solid. And especially with a big pack on, like, you know, for many ultra runners, the pack they have is fairly light, but when you're carrying everything you need, which I assume is a tent and some sort of mattress and, you know, cooking utensils. Yep. So that's a fair bit to have on your back when you're going up and down those hills.
Yeah, 100%. I think the biggest thing is more like the gap between what I've been doing and what I'm doing. I think that's the thing, because like for my next expedition, I know I can go further. I've got that baseline, but it's like, oh, I haven't used you know, the GPS tracking and off, you know, reception nav. I haven't really done a long multi-day. That there's so many new things that felt not overwhelming, but that was a big thing.
Yeah.
But I think that's more
so
than
you
the
really pushed your limits with this, didn't you? And got out of your comfort zone.
I was definitely pushing my limits. Absolutely.
Yeah. No, that's great. And I want to say, you know, like it's a fair thing for a woman to be a bit nervous being alone at night, even though there are no people there. You just don't know, no people that you saw anyway. So I think it's a testament to that women can do tough things and can do hard things. So well done.
Thank you.
I did have a question in mind, but did you have something?
Yeah, let's go back to the start. What sort of training did you do in the lead up? Did you focus on hiking? Did you focus on, you know, living rough, basically? Or what sort of training did you put in?
I think I'm pretty lucky with where I've been living is pretty like conducive of all that. I've got Feathertop and Bogong, you know, very close to me. So a lot of mornings before work, I was going up and hiking it or running it. I had the Her Trails program for the run. So I knew I was run ready. And then I was doing a lot of multi-days in the lead up. But even if I hadn't had this hike plan, I think I'd be doing it. Yeah. Pretty similar.
Yeah, because you obviously just love being outdoors and and when if you're living in Bright, I mean, you're just spoiled for hills there, really.
It's too good.
There's no luck.
And so obviously the Australian Alps Walking Trail doesn't go to Bright. So how did you manage that? How did you get around to Bright from the track?
Yeah, so I went from Hotham along the Razorback of Feathertop down the Bungalow Spur and kind of finished in Harriettville.
So you finished down Bungalow Spur. Is that the one I hate? I can never remember. Is that the one with the river crossings at the end?
No, that's Bonnecourt.
That's Bonnecourt.
That's Bonnecourt. Yeah. No, Bungalow's the one that finishes basically through that where you come through the town. Where I got bitten by the dog.
Oh, yes.
Last time we were there.
Yikes.
Yeah. So you started, because I looked at the map. So did you start at Mount Bogong or you started further north? Whereabouts did you start and why did you start there?
As in for the start of the hike?
Yeah, for the start of the hike.
So I started at Cascade Trail, so just past, like just at Dead Horse Gap. Okay. So I was staying in Thedborough at the time. That's where the run was, and it was just a few k's up. That was the closest part to the track. So I
started in New South Wales.
Yeah, so I started in Kosciuszko.
All right, that's good, because I've always, you know, wondered how the Alpine Walking Track connects up through to basically Kosciuszko from the the Victorian Alps. So is it clearly marked, and how did you find navigating through that particular area? Because it's not a well walked track, I'm guessing.
No, it's surprisingly not. I think the navigation itself was actually pretty good. There's markers around, and I told my friends, like, if you see my tracker heading towards Queensland, give me a hold up. Like, I'm not great with navigations at all. Give me street signs and I'm lost. But I had downloaded maps, so my blue dot was always near the track. You know, you can't get lost. You can't. You can see where you are. But in saying that, it would go from forward drive track where you like, you know, just pacing along, it would like take a left and it's just bush for hours and hours of there's no track. You're just checking your phone every.
Oh wow!
You're following your phone, being like, that's the direction I need to go, and you.
So you could literally see no track. Oh, that would have been a bit disconcerting.
For big chunks. Okay. So I knew I wasn't lost.
Yeah.
But it was also like you can't switch off. You're just like you just somehow make your way.
I wonder how people would normally, if they, because at one point we didn't have those GPS things. What did people do before then?
Compass and bearing.
Yeah, I guess.
That is.
But still, that would be very slow going using a compass.
I couldn't imagine. Like there was one time I did get lost, and that's because my phone had died, and I followed a Brumbury track, thinking that was the track. But I was like, I switched off. Like, yeah, we're going down the hill. Like this is sweet. And then saw a pack of Brumbies, so I was like, that's definitely not the track. Like,
because we all know that if you're going to take a wrong turn, the wrong turn will take you down the hill. So you have to come back up.
Yeah. And you got to be angry and sad coming back what you just went down.
Yeah, exactly. Now, this is an epic achievement, and you weren't doing it for a particular reason. Did you want to share with the listeners what your motivation for doing this was?
Yeah, definitely a cause really close to my heart with eating disorders, and I think it's something that, with my own personal experience, it's been on my mind for a long time since being well, to do something that shows like not only recovery is possible, but you can live. You're capable, not even just of recovery, but anything of the things that you want to be doing. Like you're capable.
Yeah. So you're doing it to raise awareness for eating disorders, but also, the charity that you're raising money for is to the families of people who have eating disorders. Can you explain why that's important to support the families?
And maybe just, if you feel comfortable, a little bit of your experience and, your family's experience and how that helped you as well.
Yeah, 100%. So this has been like a 9-year, now, but it was 9-year, probably 5 years of really hard, got on well, been hospitalized, in and out of treatment, and was out of school. So my parents were the ones looking after me full time. They couldn't work.
Oh, wow.
And they full-time care. I had to be under full supervision.
Oh, wow.
All the time. It was really, really hard. And they had no way of knowing how to deal with this. They hadn't been told. When I went to the GP to first get kind of diagnosed as like something's up, she was Googling it, Googling the symptoms and I think this is what it is. So my parents had no way of knowing how to best support me, and they were in a time that was very, very emotionally intense. So they used to order books online and sneak them in and try and read them. They didn't have a community to connect to or anyone to give advice. So they're going through something that's very hard and alone. And I don't think people realize eating disorders affect the whole family, not just the individual. And that if the parents are the ones being the main carers, they need to be able to have the education and support to be able to do that role.
Because especially if you're not in a hospital, when you're at home, then your parents need to take on that role of,
and they don't know what to do. There was no support.
And so the doctors, and they didn't give you your parents any particular information, really? Nothing?
No, just.
And do you think that was because they weren't aware of how to go about it, or there just wasn't the support structure within the GP system?
I think it's interesting because it's a psychological illness, but it's always seen from the medical side when you're unstable. You're in hospital because your heart rate's too low, etc. And so then the treatment team of that is very physical based. So okay, well, her obs are good enough to go. We'll send you home. And then when you keep going back, and we don't know, well, your body's unwell. Let's treat your body. And I don't think they realized how holistic it needed to be. I think if you're weight restoring someone, you're not fixing the reason that they're doing it and it's not getting better. So I think at the time the treatment was called family-based therapy. It's something that's hopefully going out the window. It's very just brutal. They don't really care about the person. It's just get the food in, get them nourished.
And I was going to say that because it's an eating disorder, but just getting the food in is not, because the person being fed may create really bad feelings within them to being forced to eat this, which could then end up making it worse, or them resenting the people, being their family, who are force feeding them, so to speak, and it could create a lot of issues and problems. Am I right?
Exactly. And that's like other mental illnesses or with alcohol and drugs. It's the same. Even if you take that the stimulus away or that thing, it doesn't resolve the reason it's happening. And it's not so it's very deeply rooted.
So this charity that you're raising funds for, can you just name that charity so people can...
Yeah. So it's called Eating Disorder Families Australia, and they're a not-for-profit, an amazing volunteer-run program that helps do like workshops and webinars, supports the parents, education. Like it's phenomenal.
And so when did they start?
I'm not sure when they were founded. I would say a few years ago.
But obviously
I wasn't, my parents weren't aware of it when I was going through it.
Right.
Okay, which means then GPs aren't aware of it, and so they need to be aware of it to pass on the information, don't they?
And how did you get onto it, or how did your family
find out about
them?
I think just through recovery started to hear a little bit more about what was going on, and I was lucky enough to run some workshops for, like as an artist, like some mindfulness workshops and some speaking on behalf of being someone with lived experience.
So you help them know by doing that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And what do the funds that you raise, what would they be using that for to help them with?
Because it's like there is absolutely no like funding or money that like helps it. It's all based on donations to actually make it be able to run the systems, like having a team together and then providing those education support systems.
And so what sort of support are they giving the family? Is it education? Is it, advice on, treatment plans, or what sort of
it's like a community hub. They do like webinars, a lot of facilitations, a lot of question and answers, like a lot of information, blog, website content that if you've got a question, here's all the answers and ways to be able to understand it and learn from it.
And where are they based for like in-person things, or do they have like in different cities, different groups for it?
I'm not too sure actually.
But they're primarily Melbourne based. I mean, and I'm guessing if they're wanting funding, they probably want to expand, because online's great, but I guess also the in-person is really important too, I would guess.
So as far as, because you just hinted before about being an artist, how is that? What are you doing with your artistry to, further the cause as well?
I think over the last little period, I've done a lot of like mindfulness workshops, and I think for me, art's been really important as a form of therapy, same as movement. I think they both hold a really powerful space, like the running, hiking, and art as a way of kind of healing and just something that's really powerful for me, I think. So
using the art as a way of becoming more mindful, is that what you're meaning? Yep. So is it like painting or drawing or
whatever medium? So I myself went through art therapy through hospitals and treatment and alongside talk therapy, and that's something that really connected with me. So I've had the opportunity to do a couple one-off workshops.
Oh, that would be really interesting. And you also hinted that you're perhaps doing something bigger. So what's that?
I haven't planned it yet, but it's definitely, I think, been a really cool stepping stone of, I think this was a really important part for me to be like, I have the belief and courage to do these things. That was like I came up with something that was ambitious. It was the furthest I've run, furthest I've hiked. I did it solo. I planned it solo. And to come out of that, I just feel that sense of, I don't know, like confidence. I was like, I can do that. And I think that's just given me a lot more fuel to keep doing those things and keep pushing those boundaries.
So what are you planning?
You'll find out.
So is it more of a run than a hike, or is it
and a bit
okay
so just we'll double back onto the hike itself. How much did you fall back on the things that you'd learned through your treatment to enable you, because I'm guessing that the first night was probably the hardest, being on your own, knowing what you had in front of you. What sort of lessons did you take into that you felt that you learned through your treatment?
That's a really good question. I really love that. I think what's interesting, like the first part of treatment is, like the refeeding, the just like the medical side, I guess. And then there's a period of treatment that's really, all right, what is it that you really love to do, and understanding your personality and how to work with it and not taking things to the extreme and finding balance and emotional regulation. Like there's been so much help that I've had the help from other people to work my way through a lot of problems in terms of, not spiraling or being all black and white. And I think that was really key in those moments where I was finding it really hard to be able to keep persevering and keep a healthy mindset. Like I think it's easy to beat yourself up or be hard or be doubtful. And I'm like, oh, I've been here before.
Yeah.
And I faced it in a really good way, in the sense that I had help from other people when facing it and knowing I could get through it and do it in a healthy way.
Because, I mean, there is, I guess, an argument to be made that walking 250 kilometers by yourself through the wilderness is a pretty extreme thing to do.
Yeah.
So how did you balance that, trying to stay
non-extreme?
Non-extreme, doing something that is, well, quite frankly, quite extreme.
Well, I think it's interesting because endurance running, it's extreme and it's looking, and it's really interesting because is it ever healthy to be extreme? And I've sat with that for so long. I've really tried to push it back and not run far, and you know what I mean? And I've come to realize it's me and it's my personality, and that's actually where I thrive. So if I can find a healthy way that is really like, it lights me up, that's something I want to follow. That's like, because I've had that, because I know I have my past as well, that people are going to be a bit worried if I understand
just swapping one thing for another.
That's what I'm like, really try to battle with it. I'm like, okay, do I just let it all go and try without? And I've really just come to realize it's in me to want to do these things. It's my happy place, and I think to just do whatever measures I need to do to make sure I'm staying on top of it. So like consistency, or having a lot of self-compassion, and always making sure my intentions are good and from the right place, which they have been. And I think that made it possible.
It's, I guess, something you have to be very careful of, because I mean, I've seen Isabel push herself to the extreme where it's no longer fun. It's actually,
and it's no longer healthy.
Most definitely no longer healthy.
So
I guess
it is that fine line, and that's the thing. Like some of the runs I've done, it's not healthy. I've done it because it's a challenge and I want to do it, but I'm not improving my health per se by doing it. But I'm the same as you. I need to feel like I'm constantly pushing myself and constantly pushing my limits. And if I don't do it in this healthy, I just said it's unhealthy, but in this manner, I will do something more unhealthy. So I think it is important, though, to recognize that sometimes these extreme things, they're not 100% healthy, but they're probably better than the alternative.
100%. And I think it's really important as well to come back to intentions and why you're doing it. Because with Ned Brockman and this movement, it's just like, go hard and push harder. And I feel very privileged to have the perspective of things, to be like, okay, that's probably really unhealthy. They're probably going through a hard time and that's a punishment. They're doing it because they're being hard on themselves. I've always made sure that I've had the right intentions of making sure it's not from a bad place.
And that's the thing, because especially with an eating disorder, it could be seen as over-exercising, as a way of punishing your body for having eaten. So you've got to be careful to delineate it from the eating, I guess.
Exactly. Just being really cautious of intentions. And I think you can do big things and hard things with the right intention and being, healthy or right for you. But it's my personality. I love that. Like I love highlining and pole dancing, and that's me. I can't let it go. So it's just making sure that it's finds its right place to thrive and never comes from an unhealthy intention.
And I agree, because I do find it a little disconcerting seeing the people it's almost like a punishment mentality.
I wouldn't as soon as if I start to notice my thinking being, I need to eat healthier or work out more, like that's a red flag going off. And it's like, okay, how can we find more compassion? How can we still keep the pizza and chocolate in, or whatever it is that has that balance, because it so easily can turn into that obsession or too far, and that is unhealthy.
Absolutely.
So how are you coping now? Because obviously if you're doing training, lots of training, as we do as well, you have to feed your body well. And so, knowing your past with your eating disorder, how do you find managing to get that nutrition that you need to fuel your body, within the back of your mind, not wanting to fall back into bad eating habits?
I think just always making sure that recovery and like the good side is at the forefront. So if I ever notice something, like, it's cool, alrighty, like even if my program says this or people say this, that's my permission, if I get that little red flag going off, to step away, to slow down, to do whatever it is to kind of get back on track. But I think I'm really lucky in how I approached my transition into running, because I went so slow. I knew like as soon as I found running, I was like, I want to go hard. I'm like, okay, give it a year, make sure that everything else is fully like dealt with. Even if you really want to do your first ultra, like let's just like take it slow. So I came into running in a really healthy mindset where I think.
So just give us a rundown of how you got into running and how it progressed as well.
Yeah. So I think, I was playing soccer, and then when COVID hit,
you and everyone else took up running.
Pretty much that was about all that there was to do. But I think what really sparked it from this is just a 5K, go do it, feels good to be done. When I was traveling, I was couch surfing a lot and like, with a lot of people. I'm like, it's my me time to get a bit of clarity, go for a trail run, explore a new place, and I just fell in love. Like that was the real like exploration, solitude, clarity, movement. Good start today.
So how long ago did you start running?
I guess COVID. So, but I did grow up with a very athletic background of athletics.
Well, I mean, soccer, you're running a lot anyway.
And athletics.
Yeah. So basically, around 2020, you started, and this has been your furthest this year, which is last year, 2023. So, which is, I mean, I think it's good, regardless of your background, to build slowly into ultras. I ran for many years before I did my first ultra, and I think it's really important to really build that base and strengthen the body. But you probably also had quite a bit of that, like you say, from the athletics and the soccer. But
no, I think it's really important, because I think there's also a movement, especially around my age and like social media, is this you're able to do, 100-mile, and people like the body probably can, like people can. I'm so amazed by how far people can take push those limits. It's amazing, but it's really harmful to just do it for the sake of being able to prove something. It's like almost like a short-term gratification. It almost like disses the fact that people do strength work and all the flexibility and rehab work that it takes to run a run and recover well afterwards.
And I think it's important that if you want to be running for a long time, which I presume you do, that you do the correct stuff now, because those people who bust out those 100 miles in the first year or two, they may not necessarily be running in 5 years because their body is broken, like you say, with not looking at recovery and strength and all that sort of stuff. All right. Is there anything that we have not covered that you would like to talk about? So how can people, if they're listening, and, runners generally ultra runners tend to come from some sort of, not everybody, but quite a few runners come from some sort of background, and I've known a few people with eating disorders, or it could be drug addiction or alcohol, but it's I'm sure someone listening will know someone who's had an eating disorder and has gotten into ultra running, because it's not necessarily uncommon. For those people who want to donate, what can they do to donate? Because, I'm sure it's close to a lot of people's hearts, isn't it?
So I've got a Reasley page going, which is raising funds for eating disorder families Australia. And I believe that's just, a really amazing platform to help all around. There's also Butterfly and Eating Disorders Victoria and many organizations that are really coming together to help spread more awareness, help educate, and really.
Just out of interest, did they find that there was an increase in eating disorders during COVID times or anything like that?
I'm not sure, but the people who are infected was through the roof with how it went.
I can imagine. Anyway, I'll put the links in for your the one that you're supporting. But yes, of course, people can look at if there's lots of those sort of charities that they can help with, like you said. Anyway, thank you for coming on and sharing your story, because it's not easy we hadn't met before this, so it's not easy to talk about these things necessarily, but I know there are other people in the ultra running community who have experienced this, and it's always that nice feeling that you're not alone.
And how can people follow you and your journey and your next big adventure?
You're yet to tell us.
On socials, Elise Marcanti.
All right. I'll put the links to your Instagram page in the show notes. So if you want to know any more, just check out the show notes. And thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.